Hey guys, Joy here, and today I'm doing the meme book tag. I was tagged by Sajid over at Books Are My Social Life. He is the co-creator of this tag along with Dylan the Reader 5, I believe. I'll leave all their information and their videos down in the description box below. So without further ado, let's just get started. Question number 1 is Crying Kim, and the question is a book that made you cry. And for this, I'm gonna go with the last book that made me cry, and that is The Last Star by Rick Yancey. I am not talking about a few tears here and there. I'm talking about full-on sob fest. This book was hyped up a few years ago, but after the second one came out, the hype died down. This book is all kinds of heartbreaking. This series takes place in a dystopian world where aliens have invaded Earth and they're trying to exterminate the human race. See what I did there? I did a book talk on The Last Star. I'll leave a video up there for you guys to check out. I do cry in the video as well, but it is during the spoiler part of the video. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I recommend reading the book and then watching the video. But if you don't mind being spoiled, go right on ahead. Enjoy my tears. Meme number 2 is Salt Bae, a book that needed a little something more. And for this one, I'm going with Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Moniscalco. I believe that's how you say her name. If not, I totally butchered it. Though it was a good read, I felt like the characters were one-dimensional. They weren't captivating enough for me, and I like to read novels where it's more character-driven than plot-driven, so this was a serious letdown. In this book, we follow Audrey Rose, and I believe this book is set in the 1800s, and Audrey Rose is born into high society, and her dream career is to be in forensic medicine, aka to be a coroner and work with dead corpses. You go, girl. Like I said, this is set in the 1800s, so women working in the medical field or working at all during that time was practically unheard of. Question number 3 is A Guy Thinking, and this one is a book that made you think. And I chose Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. Usually in books, fantasy or non-fantasy, when we see someone trying to take down a ruler or a tyrant, we only hear enough politics to make our mind that yes, this person is an evil ruler, or yes, this person has become a tyrant. And Queen of the Tearling is more politically driven than anything else. It was interesting to see all the different characters that wanted to rule this kingdom and their political views as to where they wanted to take the kingdom. And we also see the aspects of whether or not putting laws in place will benefit the people in the long run despite the consequences, or just put the law in place and just ignore the consequences. Number 4, Confused Guy. A book whose hype you don't understand. And I have 2 books for this one. One, as you all may know, The Selection series by Kira Cass. The first time I read The Selection, I liked it. It was okay. And I tried to reread them last year, and I just couldn't get through it. I finished the first book just because I was almost done with it, but I tried picking up the next book, and I just couldn't. I feel like people who love The Bachelor love this book for those aspects of it, but I myself don't like the show. I don't know. I feel like everything's fake. Like, nothing of it is real. It's just all for publicity. The other book I chose for this question is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I listened to the books via audio, and I feel the reason why I really disliked the series was because the narrator made the main character seem immature and whiny. And once that was dragged into my mind, when I tried reading the physical copy of the second book, all I could hear was the whininess and the immaturity in the voice in my head, and I just couldn't continue on. Not only that, but it also seemed like the main character had this version or standard as to what romance and what being in a relationship should be, and when finally someone comes up to her door and declares their love, she pushes them aside because they're not to her standards, and that's why that kind of annoyed me a little bit. 5 is Evil Patrick, a guilty pleasure read. Now, I don't like saying guilty pleasure because really nobody should feel guilty for reading what they love. So for this one, I'm gonna go with Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead and Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. Twilight led me to read Vampire Academy. So honestly, my reading career, if you would call it, started with Twilight. And I know Twilight was a gateway for a lot of people to finally either reignite their love for reading, which was the case for me because I've always been a reader. If you didn't know, I'll put my reading story up there for you guys to check out. And for some people, reading Twilight made them readers. Though I know now, thinking of it as being an adult, I mean, I haven't read it in a few years, but I know the story because I read it it so many times when I was younger that Bella's and Edward's relationship was not one of the safest love story, because if you think about it, Edward was very dominant and he was very controlling towards Bella, and nobody should be in that kind of relationship. I do know now that it has some flaws, but it's still a story that got me back into reading. And as for Vampire Academy, once again, it has its flaws. The romance was kind of controversial because if you think about it, Rose was what, 16 at the time, and Dimitri is 24, and they were teacher and student, so many lines were crossed, but I still love it nonetheless because Dimitri is my babe. I love him. I was older than Rose, so my love for Dimitri was very qualified. Number 6, Meryl Streep, a book that you're always hyping up. And for this one, I chose Killer Instinct by S.E. Green. This book is so good. It's a great book and it's a great story. It's mystery, it's thriller, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it was just a fantastic read and I love it. This book is about a young girl named Lane, and she is obsessed with serial killers because she sees herself in them, because she herself feels like she'll become a serial killer in the future. When a serial killer named the Decapitator comes into her town, she is so captivated and wants to find them, to meet them, to talk about killing. But yeah, this is a really great book. I truly recommend you read it. Number 7, a book, whether you liked it or not, that you felt accomplished after finishing it. And for this one, I'm going with The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. When the book first came out, I bought it immediately because it was so hyped up before it was even out. People who had ARCs were raving about it. Bought it, opened it up, read about 10 pages, put it down, and then a few weeks later realized, oh wait, I was reading The Hate You Give. I was like, oh man, I forgot everything that I read in the first 10 pages. So I started again, got to page 73, left it, never picked it up. Once again, realizing that I still haven't read or finished this book, that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up again. And I picked it up, got to page 100. I put it down once again, but when I picked it up in January and I decided, you know what, I'm not starting this from page 1 again. I remember what happened, and it wasn't until January of this year that I actually finished this book, and I felt so accomplished. And this book was in the New York bestseller list for almost 4 months, or more than 4 months. I can't remember how many weeks it was on that list, but this was at number 1 for so many weeks that I was like, man, she probably broke so many damn records, and she will always be known for writing an amazing book. I really recommend you guys pick it up because it's all kinds of amazing. It'll make you cry, it'll make you laugh, it'll just make you feel all the feels, and it's just beautiful. 8, Pennywise, a book with a promising concept / a book you had high expectations for, but ultimately let you down. I think you can all guess which one I'm gonna choose, and that is I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erika L. Sanchez. And let me just say how disappointed and insulted I am with this book. I thought I was finally gonna read a book where I could connect in every aspect to the main character. I read it and I just felt like the author insulted not only me, but insulted my childhood, how I was raised, and insulted my mother. Once that happens, if I ever feel like a book is insulting my mother or anybody in my family, just know that your book is not going to be on my favorites list. But I can't say this was a complete horrible book because it wasn't. Just because culturally wise I felt insulted doesn't mean that it showed good aspects. It showed positivity in taking medication for your mental health. It had no shaming whatsoever. Some people don't need it and that's okay with them, but if you need medication, that's also acceptable and you shouldn't be shamed for having to take medication for your mental health. I absolutely loved that aspect. Number 9, Headphones Guy, an audiobook that you enjoyed. And I'm sure you guys know which one it is because I recommend it all the time. And that is Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. The audiobook for this series, I can't stress it enough, is absolutely gorgeous. It is full cast, it has sound effects. I read Illuminae with the audiobook, so I was listening to the audiobook while flipping through the pages because it was just that wonderful. It was such a great experience listening to the audiobook while looking at the book, and I truly do recommend you guys pick up the audiobook while looking through the book. Number 10, Distracted Guy. 2 books. One you've been neglecting on your TBR for a long time, and a new one that's been distracting you / piquing your interest. And for this one, I'm gonna go with the book that I've had on my TBR for a long time and I've just been neglecting it, and that is King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. I've heard great things about this book, and I think the reason why I'm putting it off is because Glass Sword was kind of a disappointment, and I kind of feel like this one might be as well, and it's not like the normal hardback size, so it's like tall and then it's big, so it's like, what if I read it and it just puts me in a slump? So that's why I've been neglecting it. The one that I'm currently reading that's making me neglect King's Cage is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. I am participating in Emma Books Shadowhunter read along, and I'm behind. I'm also just picking up pace on this book because I was also neglecting this book for the Full Metal Alchemist. Number 11, Cash Me Outside, how about that? Did I say it? Did I say it right? And for this, it is a book that tried to be something that it was not. And I chose The Ultimate Sacrifice by S.E. Green. I won an arc through Facebook. The Ultimate Sacrifice is shown as being a suspenseful book, a mystery, a thriller, and kind of like a scary, freaky book to get you in the mood for Halloween because you don't know what's gonna happen. Like, it's scary. And don't get me wrong, I love Shannon. I truly do. She wrote some of my favorite books like Shadow of a Girl, Killer Instinct, Killer Within, but The Ultimate Sacrifice, it was just facepalm after facepalm, and it was just laughable. If I was supposed to be scared and traumatized by the end of this book, I wasn't. I was mostly like laughing so hard that I think I developed a 6-pack. This book is less than 300 pages long. I figured out the plot 40 pages in. 40 pages in. The main character had no common sense. I mean, when you're being under surveillance, even your internet moves are being cataloged, or the FBI is following your internet moves. Like, I think it's safe to say that you shouldn't be researching ways to get rid of a corpse. Like, why? Question number 12, Dog and Fire. How many unread books do you own? Because I don't have a separate bookcase for all my unread books. They're all mixed together, so as I was counting them, I lost count at 40, and I own 40 plus books that I have not read yet. Question number 13 is a bonus question if you would like to do it, and I am doing it mostly because I thought of the perfect meme, and that is River Song's Spoilers meme. And I decided to pair it up with a book or book series that I was spoiled for. I wasn't spoiled for this, like nobody spoiled me. I spoiled myself for this series, and that is the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I made the mistake of going online and researching what happens in the first book because when I was gonna pick up Siege and Storm, I had forgotten everything that happened in Shadow and Bone, and I didn't feel like rereading it, so I was like, I'm gonna just go online and find out what happened. But when I did, if you go to wiki fandoms, they don't separate spoilers from the other books from the first book. They put everything together, and then I just hit myself because it really is my own fault. I should know never to research anything about books if I don't want to be spoiled. That is the meme book tag. Now I'm gonna tag 3 people. So the 3 people that I'm deciding on tagging is A Wandering Mind. Serena, that's her name. She's an amazing booktuber. I love her videos. I'll leave her channel down in the description box below. I'll also leave everybody else's channel down below. The second person I tag is Bookishly Nerdy. She is an amazing person, and we just established friendship status. Hi, Kelsey! And the last booktuber I tag is Samantha Reading. I just discovered her. I love her videos. She has a great personality that just makes me want to be her friend forever. That is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below which meme is your favorite. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of my face, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!